Huh. I was just trying to test out, see how easily you could hear the people in the room next to me, but they just quieted up just now, just this instant. So, fuck it. I've been watching media today. I watched myself, Louis C.K.'s new show, 2017 on Netflix. Is real nice. I watched Hannibal Buress Takes Edinburgh, and I liked it. Fucking the thing about media, I really enjoy public speaking. I like presenting, giving a good presentation. I like speeches. I did that as part of a school activity, and it's horrifying at first, but over time, either you get good at it and you start to kind of like it, or it just remains horrifying. It's just an awful traumatic experience, and then you have PTSD. I don't know, whatever. So one of my things about presentation is that a good presentation is also a good speech. A good presentation is also a good essay, in my opinion. At least I think some of the best are, and it's an easy frame, an easy device to use to organize a presentation. So Louis' show was cool, and I liked it a lot. But the thing I like about Louis is that, and especially this show, is that everything has a logical flow to it. There's a sequence to things, and the jokes are worked into that in a very nice and fluid way. I've seen some comedy shows where they just say a joke, and then they move on to a different topic. But Louis doesn't do that. He will start off with an idea, and then he'll follow that idea, and then that idea will lead into a tangent. And then he'll follow that tangent. And that tangent will have its own tangents, and each one will have its own ideas and jokes. And that's super cool. But then he returns to the original idea, which is neat. There's this, it's a logical thing. And you could graph it out, and I think I might do that maybe. Because, why not, eh? And then I watched Hannibal's one, Hannibal Takes Edinburgh. He did the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh, which is a huge arts festival. All kinds of shows of just all kinds just go on at the Fringe. I have actually been to Edinburgh during the Fringe. It was super cool. My favorite thing that I saw there, and I still have a poster, like a little flyer handout for it somewhere, was a Japanese tap dancing troupe that wore pink suits, which is just, that's so cool and so insane, and it was cool. So the Fringe is this big thing, all kinds of shows, and the story of, instead of just being like an hour comedy special, like Louis' thing was, and how most of televised comedy is in a big one special, it's just one presentation. But since this he was doing the same show for every day, multiple times a day for a month, instead of just showing a show, they showed bits of many shows, and it was tied together with the story of his experience of it, which was really cool because it started off with him doing a show in America, and he's just saying that he's going to be going to Scotland soon, and then he goes there, and then he's in his apartment, and he's packing up, and then he's there, and you get some of the comedy, and then you get like after the show, and he's out there, and then he's drinking, and you can see where some of his material is coming from, because you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over, because you burn out, and he burns out, and you see that, and then you see him trying to fix that, and then changing up the show, and you see him talking to other people and trying to get through this whole thing. That whole way of organizing something into a story is just super interesting and appealing to me. One of the things I noticed was cinematic theming. There's a part right when he's getting burned out. He actually has a show where he walks off. It's, you know, that's not a good thing to do. And all the shots where he's like in the city are at night, versus at the very end he's kind of worked through it. He's come to a greater understanding. He's feeling better. He climbs a mountain, and they show that shot, and the outside shots when he's walking around the city are during the day, and it's super nice and it's green looking, and that thematically works. It ties together with what's going on in the story of his life. And gee howdy, that was neat. It's interesting why some things elicit the emotional responses that they do. Grass and greenery are calming to us. Just the color green is associated with good things. Red is associated with bad things. And if you spend even a small amount of time thinking about these things, it makes a lot of sense. It's obvious. Red is the color of blood. Green is the color of nature. And we evolved to live in nature. And so nature is a naturally comforting thing. We like bright things and we're afraid of the dark because evolutionarily that's just advantageous. Bad things happen in the dark. Humans are at a disadvantage. We didn't evolve like special eyesight or anything. And so that's neat. And it's important to understand those kind of connotations and associations when designing things. I've been consuming media recently, and I have a desire to create media. Lots of people have a desire to create media. What's important and what feels important are two different things. So our idols and our legends in society today are like famous people, movie stars, people with money. Those are the people who are popular because they are in the business of popularity. Of course, scientists aren't well known. Scientific papers are not made to be widely distributed. Everything makes sense, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make. Another bit of media I recently saw was it was this animated show with Tom and Friends, Talking Tom and Friends, which is from the iPhone app, where you speak and then Tom repeats what you say, and it's like in a higher voice, and it's novel and funny and ha ha ha. It's weird. It's a weird thing that it exists, and it's the kind of thing where you would assume it's just some kind of corporate machine, factory churned out product, and it would be awful, and it is that, but it's also a lot better than you'd expect, particularly the voice acting. Tom is pretty good, but Ben, this dog who, like the tech whiz, he's like the nerd, he tries to do comedy and he fails at it, and it's done pretty well. It does have some good jokes. It's got some good voice acting. Some of the animation is nice. The actual character models, this is a 3D CG animated thing, are butt ugly. I mean, I've seen worse, but they're just they're not. They don't look very good. It used, like, technology was a big part of the story and a lot of the jokes, which makes sense because they come from an iPhone app originally. But it was handled fairly well. It didn't seem altogether entirely forced. The plot of the episode was Tom wants to get a reality show, and so he's making a demo tape to send to producers so that he can have a show. And then hijinks ensue, And then he has this idea, oh, I need to make it a special Christmas episode because that'll really convince people. And then Santa shows up for absolutely no reason, and it's super weird. I didn't think this character and this franchise, as it were, of these app characters who repeat what you say and do funny little phone things. I didn't think it was that popular because I had only heard about it back when it originally came out, 2010. But I looked it up because I was like, why did this show get made? Fucking 5 point something billion downloads? Holy shit. Christ. That's a significant portion of the global population has downloaded Talking Tom and Friends. Oh my god. Blew me out of the water. Why is that? Generic Santa. That's the reason. Generic Santa, generic Tom, generic Ben the dog. They're all the most generic things that could possibly exist, which in a way is bad, but from a marketing standpoint is genius. These characters are so broad, anybody can enjoy them. It's a cat. It looks like every cat ever, and it talks funny. Boom. Brilliant. And it's free. Everyone's gonna download that. And then they got the first mover advantage, which is like they were around right in the beginning. So as a part of that scene, they blew up with iPhones, smartphones in general. It was neat. And the show wasn't absolute garbage. I've noticed from animation that is bad that it often has some redeeming qualities. And it says a lot about art in this day and age. There's a lot of artists. There's a lot of people who create art, media, stuff. The reason they want to be artists is because they see art, they consume art. Since art is designed to reach a wide audience, a lot of people see it and see that as a viable option. Since so many people want to do that, statistically speaking, there's a fair portion of people who are good at it. So many people that are good at it that even things that have no right to have any kind of redeeming quality, like Talking Tom, the TV show, has some redeeming qualities, has certain aspects of it that are good because there's just too many talented people. Yeah.